So the next thing we need to talk about is multiplying and dividing rational numbers and those decimals, positive and negative decimals. Here's our steps for doing this. The first thing, we need to find the absolute values of those decimals, multiply or divide as usual, and then we count the number of negative signs. If there's an odd number, it's negative, an even number, it's positive. So hopefully you've already paused the video here so that you could get these steps in your notes, and we're ready to move on. Okay, so here we are with some of our examples. The very first thing I'm going to do is take the absolute value of both of these numbers. So I'm going to have 1.2 times 0.3. Now, you should recall that when you multiply decimals, you simply multiply as usual with those numbers. So in other words, 1.2 times 0.3, I would ignore the decimals. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. You should have already known that 12 times 3 was 36, but just in case you didn't, there it is. And then I count the decimal places. So this has 1 decimal place. This has 1 decimal place. I add those together, 1 plus 1, and therefore this one has 2 decimal places. I start here 1, 2. My decimal goes right in the front. So the answer is 0.36. And then I look back and I see that there's 1 negative sign, which is an odd number. So therefore my answer is negative 0.36. Moving right along here, my next multiplication, I've got, I'm going to take these absolute values. I've got 0.04 and 2.81. So I'm going to multiply those as usual, 2.81, ignoring the decimals for now. So I've got 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 8 is 32. Carry the 3. And 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 3 more is 11. I count up my decimal places. I've got 2 here and 2 here. So that totals 4. I add them together. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4. That will be right in the beginning. So my answer here is 0.1124. I count, I've got 1, 2 negative signs, so therefore that answer is positive. Now as I move on to division, again, you're going to take these absolute values. So you're going to have 0.84 divided by 1.2. Now I prefer to do division like this when I have decimals because then I can see those decimals. We're not allowed to have a decimal in the bottom, so I'm going to move that to the end. In this case it moves 1 place, and whatever I do to the bottom I do to the top. So now I'm going to have 8.4 divided by 12. And I know that 12 goes into 84 7 times. You should know that. That is your 12 tables, which you should know. If not, I know you can look that up. So this goes in 7 times. I'm going to stack that right above the 4 so I can figure out where the decimal goes. So I know that the answer is 0.7. And I've got an even number of negative signs, so my answer is positive 0.7. For my final one over here, I am going to have 1.242 divided by, and I know that doesn't quite look like a point, but it is, divided by 0.2. Now again, I've only got 1 decimal place, so I'm going to move it 1 place on the bottom, therefore 1 place on the top. So my new decimal place goes there. So I'm now going to have 12.42 divided by, whoops, not a 0, that 0 is gone, divided by 2. And now I start dividing. So I know I've got 2 doesn't go into 1, 2 does go into 12, 2 goes into 12 6 times. I'm going to sit that right on top, bring that decimal straight up because that's where it belongs. 2 goes into 4 2 times, and 2 goes into 2 once. My answer is going to be 6.21. And I look at the number of negative signs. There's simply 1. So my answer is negative 6.21.